that you
I'm trying to tell you.
who was the pastor when you
Pastor
was
Bojan.
there?
Pastor Bojan.
Oh yeah, that's right. Pastor Bojan was still living
Yep.
when wow.
Yes, sir. You going on a bad road and quick.
Yeah, with the quickness. Okay, so yeah, we live. Let me share this real quick. I'm gonna tag you in it so it'll be live on your page as well. So yeah, we got about 2 minutes before the show starts. So when the show start, I'm gonna switch the microphones into the radio, so you won't be until the show starts.
All right.
And welcome to all of the ones who are looking on Facebook, YouTube. We're gonna start the show in about 40 seconds, so just bear with us. And we got a very good show tonight. Very, very, very special guest, Miss Patryce Ford. I'm gonna give you an introduction in a couple of minutes, so just bear with us, and we're gonna start the show. Let me go ahead.
WBISLP 1069, Winterville, Aden, Grifton, Southside, Greenville, North Carolina. I try to be a better man, but folks just don't understand. Try to do all I can to deal with this addiction in me. Lord, I want to change. I can't stay the same, but the sins that in my veins is trying its best just to kill me.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode of the U-Turn Radio Show. I am your host, Richard Taylor, here on 106.9 FM Awesome Radio, also 100.3 Awesome Radio in Rocky Mount. If you haven't already been to our website, please go to the website, www.wbisawesomeradio.com. .org, and download all of our apps on the Google Play Store, the Apple Store, and the Alexa. Also, this is an interactive call-in show, so if you do want to call in, I'll put the number up there. The number is 252-756-2008. And once again, we want to thank God for allowing us to be here another week. Thank you all for listening and tuning in, whether you're on the radio or the social media sites. Tonight, we have a very, very great guest and some good topics about life in general and ministry. So I'm going to introduce my guest today, Miss Patryce Ford. How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you for having me.
All right. Thank you for tuning in. Of course, this is the U-Turn show. So we focus on individuals who, lived a life in the beginning that was, not so righteous, and then we focus on their transition and also what they are doing today. So I always start off with getting the guests to tell us a little bit about themselves, where they were born, a little bit about their childhood and upbringing. So if you can give the audience a little insight on your background, how you was raised, and some of the challenges that you may have had as a child.
Well, I was born in New York, but I was raised here in Goldsboro. Typical sad American story, broken home, single parent, mom doing the best she could with what she had. I come from a big family with 6 of us. Um, and I kind of just grew up fast, man. I grew up fast, jumped in the streets early.
So you said it was 6 of y'all. Now,
6 of us.
6 of y'all, like, were you the oldest or were you the youngest? Where did you fall in?
I'm the second oldest.
The second older. Okay. And everybody, like I told you before, I don't know any other of your siblings, but Tim Pounds. So I do want to shout out to Tim Pounds. He be spitting that hot fire and doing a lot of work in the community and photography and everything. So you was born in New York. What part of New York?
Queen.
Queens. Okay, Queens. And then you moved to Goldsboro as a child.
Yes, sir.
Oh, okay. So single parent home. What type of struggles did that present to you growing up?
First of all, it was bad, bad. We pretty much had to raise ourselves. That's not a jab to my mom, but she had to do what she had to do. And we did the best that we could. Of course, like I said, sad American story. Of course, my
Uh,
mom struggled. She struggled financially. We struggled as kids not having a father figure in the house. Um, it was yeah.
okay. So then like I said, you hopped into the streets. What type of dealings did you have early on, with associating with people who were in the streets?
I think I made a reference earlier when I said, because I grew up in the church. I grew up in church, yeah.
That's right.
Um, I think I said I was saved enough not to go to jail, but I won't saved enough not to go to hell. So
That's
as far as getting in the streets, I was not gonna sell no drugs, but I would be the drug dealers' babysitters. Like,
okay.
um, so that put me around, what I'm saying, like the fast life early. I was probably like 14, 15 in the club. Like
Okay. And
legit.
you told me one incident that kind of happened in the club when you was young. Give the audience some insight into that.
Man, I think I was 15 at the time. And we went out. We went out, and a shootout happened in the club. It broke out in the club, but I was so close to the shooter that the shells were like dropping down my shirt. 15 years old in the club. Yeah.
Okay. So did that kind of waking you up, or did that kind of draw you deeper into the life?
It was a tie.
It was a yeah, yeah.
um,
It's exciting, right? It was exciting, right? Was it
I
exciting?
kind of, I knew it was crazy, but yeah, it was exciting. Yeah.
All
It
right.
was
So, and you mentioned like right before we started the show, like you grew up in the Holiness Church, and
exciting.
actually, I didn't know too many Holiness churches except the one I grew up in. So, actually, we grew up in the same church, Tabernacle of Prayer,
Yes, sir.
um, 1005 South John Street. If you're from Goldsboro, you know what it is. Where the late great Apostle Lawrence Boger uh, was the pastor, very, very anointed man of God. We talked about a lot of the teaching that we got there and how it stuck with us,
Yep.
throughout our time. Like I said, and I think I missed y'all there. I think my father left and started his ministry about 1995, 96. So that was before you got there. How you doing, Felicia Mitchell? She's also, I think, a Tabernacle baby as well. If she not, she definitely had a few family members who went there. So at growing up in the Holiness Church, like what type of how did it affect you? Because I know it was very strict.
It affected me both negatively and positively. Negatively because um it kind of pushed me away because it was real strict. You make a mistake and it's like, about that back row. I'm sure you've been on the back row. You
I,
know about the
I,
back row.
I didn't never make it to the back row. I
Yeah.
kind of kept my sins on the wraps. Nobody.
Man, I was on the back row. And that kind of like embarrassed me. It kind of pushed me away from the church, set me down, whatever. However, um, I would say positively because now I'm able to be what I needed then. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel
Mhm.
like it was a lot of teachable moments, what I'm saying, where, like I said earlier, the Bible speaks about overcoming by your testimony, where you could have just like, not even just me, anybody, like, hey, I did it too. You know what I'm saying? I did it too would have sufficed, in a
Yeah.
lot of different situations and help me. So now I'm able to be there, like, look, I did it too. I mean, it's wrong, blah, 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 but let's figure it out. Let's get it together.
Yeah, and I didn't really give you a pop. Good evening, Keith. How you doing? Keith West. I think Coach tell your testimony. Definitely appreciate you for joining Keith as well, man. I had Keith on as well, so definitely a good brother. And I didn't give you a proper introduction. She is a mentor. She is a life coach. She's a community activist. She is a mother, a author. She wears a lot of hats. So I definitely want to give you insight before we get deeper into the story and why does she do those things. And I think you mentioned that you were a teen mom. That's one of the reasons that that if you was in Tabernacle, if you got caught fornicating or you was pregnant, and once again you weren't the only one. Before
Right.
you got there was a lot of 14, 15, 16-year-old girls sitting on that back row, and also a lot of adults that were sitting on that back row. So um how was it being having a child that early without, once again, that stable home environment? How did you kind of navigate that situation?
My mom, man, I'm just grateful for my mom because I would have never been able to. I wouldn't have been able to do it. Right after I had him, I went straight to the military. Like it was gone. Um, but my mom, she was my mom every step of the way. That's it.
Oh, okay. And so what branch did you join in the military?
The
Because that's something I never knew about you before
army,
this interview. Like,
the
so
army.
what branch? The Army.
Yep.
All right. So you went to boot camp. Um, and where were you stationed at?
I did Virginia. I was in South Carolina, Afghanistan, some everywhere.
So how did that help you grow up, and kind of, be coming to your own as an adult woman?
Absolutely. Joining the military just changed my perspective on life. Period. It exposed me to different people, different cultures, different just everything. So I feel like when I came back, um, I was like mature in a lot of areas that I wasn't being stimulated. Being around here, no shade.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah. I mean,
and
everybody, yeah.
yeah, no shade, no shade. But so yeah, absolutely, it attributed to me growing up.
Yeah, definitely. What's going on, Mayel? Mr. Mayel Thompson? Good evening. Proud of you. He says to the guests, thank you, sir, for tuning in. And congratulations on, the Black Chamber of Commerce and, everything that you're doing, man. Very, very wonderful young man, man. Definitely thank you for tuning in. And so with that joining the military, like you said, you went to Virginia, South Carolina, and Afghanistan. How long did you serve in Afghanistan?
They only year intervals too.
Year. So you did two
Hmm.
different tours,
Hmm.
and we talked about that because I know, once again, a lot of veterans experience some things and go through some things over there that follow them back. But in your situation, it was something that happened at home
Right.
that kind of plagued you while you was there.
Yeah. I lost a real close friend, um, near and dear friend, to me while I was over there, and it kind of caused me to go into kind of like a spiral where I battled with alcohol addiction for a while. Um, yeah, that was yeah,
And so that was one of the ways that you coped with the loss of your friend.
yeah,
And kind of that. Now, did that addiction follow you home?
yes. The
It did.
addiction followed me probably up until 30, and I'm 33. So
Okay.
yeah, it definitely followed me home.
I so but once again, like we're right on the same page. I celebrated 3 years in November of 19, clean and sober from cocaine and alcohol. So I definitely commend you on making that step. Now, did you have to go to like a rehab, or did you just do it by the grace of God?
Grace of God. And like I said, earlier, when we had our discussion, I was talking about how marriage kind of saved my life. And yeah, marriage, marriage
Yeah.
saved my life. I will say that.
All right, we'll get in maybe to a little bit of that. So you come home from the military. Now, what age were you then? Would you say?
Maybe 20, 23,
24, 25.
24, yeah, 23,
Okay.
24.
So now what was your mindset like coming back? Now did you, because you said you have three children now,
Yes.
correct?
Yep.
So at the time you left you had one. So did you have any while you were in the military?
Yeah, I had my middle boy while I was in the military. But his dad is from here. Um, yeah, so I had my son when I came back.
Um,
Yeah,
okay, so what did you do? When you came back, you got out of the military. What was your goal? Like what steps did you take then in your life?
man, I think when I came back, honestly, it was like life was a big party. I had some money. I had some money. I done felt like I done went and did something with myself. Um,
Uh,
yeah, it was on when I got back. So yeah,
so you did a lot of partying, a lot of hanging out.
yeah.
Where did you work? Like what type of work did you do, or you didn't work? Like you just partied.
It was a tie. I worked when I wanted to.
Uh,
Um, I can't even tell you. I was just all over the place.
so but you did tell me that you worked in the prison system at one
Well,
time.
that was on the later end, but yes, I did work in the prison
Okay.
system.
Okay.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, at that time when I first came home, I was a wrap.
It was a wrap. So and then at what age did you have your third child?
I was probably 25, 20,
Oh, okay.
25.
Okay.
I was like 25.
So a mother, 25-year-old, with three children, battling some things. How did you navigate? How did you handle all of the responsibility with raising three children? I think by yourself, if I'm not mistaken.
I pretty much had to get tired of my situation, to be honest. And I thank God, like we spoke about earlier, tabernacle stuff on my foundation. And once I got to that place of being tired, um, and then I got into working in the corrections and all that stuff. Like it grieved my spirit, and it just warranted a change. And I don't say it happened overnight, but I just had this desire to like be what I needed. Just help. Like I just have a servant spirit. That's just all I want to do. How can I help you? How can I help you? So pretty much, there really was no. My religion kind of grounded me and reeled me back in, and
As the scripture says, train up a child in the way they should go,
yeah,
and when they are old, they will not depart with it. Because it's almost like you when you said, you was what you say. I can't even put it into words. You was saved enough
not to go to jail.
not to go to jail, but not saved enough to not to go to hell, because that's when I testify that too. Like I did some crazy stuff, but I always, you know, I see the line and I might put my foot over that line, but I ain't gonna step completely over that line. So I'm grateful for the prayers and the foundation that was provided to me, by Tabernacle of Prayer and the leaders there that always stuck with me. So it's a testament, to, and I know a lot of people that came up in that same church who strayed, but they almost always found they were they way back before it got too late. And you mentioned, doing like I said, working. And now, did you start working in the prison before you got married or after
right,
you got married?
right around the same time, like right,
Right.
literally back to back, simultaneously, almost.
Mhm. And you said so your marriage pretty much like saved your life. You said,
Set me down somewhere.
huh?
Yes,
Set you down
set
because
me
you said
down.
a lot of things that you struggle with, were solved
Yep,
by you get married.
yep. My biggest issue was promiscuous. I was real promiscuous, and like I said, earlier, you kind of are a product of your environment, regardless of what I did, military, whatever. I was like a survival person, like by all means necessary. So when I got, of age and I got out there, everything. What can you do for me? Like what? Like, oh, we're not doing that. And found myself with three beautiful kids. And just lost, just lost out here in the South. And so, with the promiscuousness came the clubbing and the partying and the drinking. When I got married, my husband was like, "Hey, it's a wrap," go somewhere,
So I always ask people because I'm not married, but I do want to get married. So I always like to get people's, marriage meeting story. How did y'all meet, and how did it, come to the point where y'all were married?
Well, honestly, we've been friends. Me and my husband been friends for like 20 years. Probably like we kind of grew up together.
Okay.
But it's crazy because like I remember when he was deployed and I had my child, he was sending like baby shower gifts and stuff. Like we never
Okay.
looked nothing, like never. That was really my friend. Like
Uh-huh.
that was it. And so one day he just called me like, "Let's go eat." It's been history ever since.
For real?
Hmm.
So okay, he just let you know what it was. Like, okay, look, we might as well do this.
Yep.
Okay, and it's been his. So y'all been married for 3 years now.
Yep.
Okay, and so you mentioned about, like you said, working in the rehab. Why um do you lean, towards that group of people?
Because I'm all about the underdogs. You know what I'm saying? The voiceless, the people that people don't wrote off. Um, the statistics that people, that's it for you. You know, because I am a poster board like of how God's grace is sufficient. Like if he can do it for me, he can do it for you. I don't care what your situation is. My drug of choice might have been different from yours, but it was still an addiction. Same fight. And so I'm all for like being there when you're in it and you deal with that population a lot too. And when you're around them and you listen to them are some broken people,
Hmm.
and it too played a part in me gravitating to the young people like I have because if you talk to them, you have a conversation with them, a lot of their issues stem from childhood. That's like a critical point, you know what I'm saying, that I think we all kind of this new generation, everybody is like independent, and I don't want nobody telling me I don't need no help. But
Just 1 second. We got to take our first station break, but we're going to be right back here on 106.9 FM Awesome Radio. You're listening to the U-Turn Radio Show with Richard Taylor and Patryce Ford.
Fast-forming species? This is Ken Ham, editor of the evolutionary expose Glasshouse, Shattering the Myth of Evolution. Evolutionists believe species arise very, very slowly.
Hello, can you hear me? Can you
yeah,
hear me?
oh yeah.
Oh, no, yeah. No, I just switched the microphones from the radio, so we got about a minute and a half of commercials. But I thank y'all for tuning in. Hey, Tasha Sawyer, thank you for joining. Keith West says you must be friends before anything. I love it, definitely. They won't go back. I think you're talking about, if you train the child in the way they should go, they will not go back. But I definitely thank everybody for tuning in. We're going to get a little bit more of this story after this station break. But definitely that most of the guys that I talk to in prison, or even with addiction, their issues stem from childhood, you know and hurts, disappointments, failures, all the things. So we definitely gotta watch how we treat the children. And like I said, I work with a lot of children who are coming up in some tough situations. And so and it's hard sometimes when you gotta fight what a child may be going or seeing at home with just a couple of hours, or a couple of days out of the month. You try to reel them back in. But yeah, we're gonna get right back in. I'm gonna switch the microphones back to the radio, so we'll be ready when the commercial goes off. So.
The 5 Love Languages. For more, visit 5lovelanguages.com.
Plan for me to die up in these streets. Oh Lord, can you help me?
And we are back once again, 106.9 FM Awesome Radio. I want to thank my special guest, Miss Patryce Ford, for coming on and sharing her testimony and we were, leaving off about, your work and your desire to work with the youth. And one of the events that I've had the pleasure of being a part of is an event that you do called Pretty Hurts.
Yeah.
Give the audience, the motivation behind that vision that you do, and what is Pretty Hurts.
Pretty hurts pretty much stem from some of my hurt. And I was in search of help. You know what I'm saying? Like I needed something that I wasn't getting. And I heard somebody, it was so profound. They were saying, I stopped looking for resources and I became a resource. Um,
Oh, wow.
so I was like, I'm not getting what I need. And I felt like I wasn't getting it because God was trying to put me in a place to, you be that, whatever. Long story short, I had struggled with a lot of insecurities and low self-esteem, and you'll be surprised how many people are oblivious to like how deep that runs. People think, why you got low self-esteem? You're not a bad looking girl, blah 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 blah. It's bigger than that. One heartbreak, now you struggling with why I ain't good enough or whatever. So I battled with insecurities and low self-esteem and all type of stuff. And like I was telling you earlier, I have been let down by some real like crucial women in my life. So I struggled with female relationships, period. And so pretty much Pretty Hurts was just to shine light that we have more in common than not, and if we spent more time, creating safe places and hashing that stuff out, we can help each other. You know what I'm saying? Instead of I don't know where this negative storyline narrative that women have started where we can't get along, all that other stuff. But it's pretty much was to create a safe space to have uncomfortable conversations and to shine light on the fact that we all struggling with stuff. You know what I'm saying? Like, since you ain't in this by yourself, I got you, you got me. So that was pretty much what Pretty Hurts was all about.
And Felicia Mitchell says, "You're speaking the truth, beautiful." I totally understand, and I definitely hear that same narrative as well. Now, were there any challenges with you reaching out to other women and putting the things together, considering your past hurts?
Absolutely. I struggle with disappointment, rejection, or struggled. I'm sorry, past tense. Struggled with that stuff. So asking for help, I didn't trust nobody to carry out my vision. Like, no, I wanted, to be this type of way. I want these people to get this message. I want them to feel it, So that was really rough for me. Asking for help, letting people help me, still hard for me.
Yeah, that's I still struggle with
Yeah,
that as well, because you want things to be done a certain way, and not everybody can see your vision. But I think that is the mark of a true leader, when you can begin to delegate and trust people, be able to relay that vision in a way to get others to concur and
right.
follow the footsteps. Now I see the sign behind you. It says free youth outreach services.
Mhm.
So, what are you providing for the
So
youth? What type of things do you do for the youth?
So we actually do mentoring. We do tutoring sessions. We do camps, different type of camps. We do annual community days. We teach enrichment courses. We actually do something called Free You Fridays, where we extend our services to adults. We help with resume writing. We help do FAFSA. We help with college applications. We even assist with job assistance. That's one thing that I've been doing here vigorously lately. Building relationships with different jobs, getting them to give some of the kids in the program jobs or adults. Um, we do a lot.
So, you said kids in the program. How do you choose the kids, or how do you get the kids to participate in the program?
Pretty much they reach out. Most of the time they reach out once. And like I said, this is a need. A lot of these moms are looking for mentors for their kids. So we got a process where you fill out the application and stuff, but we don't turn nobody away. Um, and one thing that makes us different um, is that we don't charge. There's no membership fee. There's nothing, anything that we do, no matter how grand or how small, we try to keep it free for everybody. And I tell people all the time, somebody asks me what makes us different. And I ask them, well, when's the last time you seen any youth program out here in the community doing anything? These big funded, not to call no names, but you know what I'm saying? Like,
call them out. Call them out.
when's the last time y'all seen, the Boys and Girls Club in the community?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no shade, but I'm just saying, like, that's what makes us different. We out here, boots on ground. Like, we out here with them. So, yeah.
So I think if I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong. Did y'all do an event maybe like it was last year early or year before last, like that was at the Diller Alumni Building?
It was Pretty Hurts too.
It was y'all.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Was it like a community event where?
No, it was another Pretty Hurts. We did another Pretty Hurts.
So y'all did the first one at the Diller Alumni. Mm-hmm. So when you said it's free, then how is it able to be free? Are you guys a nonprofit or?
We are.
Oh, okay. And the name of the nonprofit is?
Free Youth Outreach.
Okay, Free Youth Outreach Service. Now, did you have any, issues, with getting that off the ground? Like, did you have any? Like you said, you don't like to ask for help. Wait a minute, we got to take our last station break. I'm looking at the clock, but we're gonna be right back. 106.9 FM Awesome Radio. We're going to be right back with Richard Taylor and Patryce Ford.
Can a church or ministry lease its property? Stay tuned.
What you must know about ministry today from a legal perspective. Join attorney David Gibbs Jr. now for the Legal Alert.
We received a call from a church in Alaska, a church that is blessed with a large facility. A civic organization in their town wanted to.
Hello?
Yep.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So we got the last radio segment coming up in about a minute. And then we'll, the conversation is still going, which probably will, we'll continue on social media. But once again, I want to thank all of you guys who are watching and interacting with this broadcast. Definitely, I appreciate you guys, just interacting with us. And but yeah, so we're gonna talk about that that process, because a lot of people don't know, how to get those nonprofit organizations started, and the difficulties and I guess the accountability that goes with them. And then my father says, before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew you and sanctified you.
Yes, sir. All right, Mr. Roger, you got to take us to church up here.
Oh, that's Prophet Roger Taylor, my pastor. Once again, that's he had us at that 7:00 prayer. We was one of the first we was there. Friday night, Sunday night, 9:45 a.m. Sunday school. He used to be the one who opened up the door, so I know exactly. As I was right in the thick of that tabernacle, and once again, like it's something about that upbringing that never leaves you. It's something about just being there. And that anointing just never follows you. I mean, that never leaves you, and always follows you and keeps you from, going off that deep end. Felicia Mitchell, definitely, amen. Yeah, so I'm gonna switch back the microphones real quick, and we're gonna start the radio show. Back again.
Really are. Are you listening to God, or are you making up your own answers? For more, visit todaysinglechristtian.com.
And we are back. Awesome Radio 106.9 FM. And I definitely got to read this from Accountable Black Woman, Miss Alana Moore. Patryce is such an inspiration. She touches more lives than she knows. A beautiful soul, anointed. Thank you for those kind words. And with the nonprofit, the free youth outreach, how did you go about getting that set up? And what kind of advice would you give people who are trying to do such?
First of all, I'm gonna tell you where it even started. Super dope. Actually, Free Youth Outreach used to be Tim's. Tim had, when I tell you Tim was on fire, like he had like 40 youth meeting up, and we was legit doing with the honk for Jesus signs on the Berkeley, Berkeley, and long story short, it pretty much was like a safe space that Tim had. Now I'm not. Tim had created for like young people, so we just kind of made our own world, whatever. Long story short, we all grew up. Everybody went their own separate ways, and I remember, I don't know if something was going on with my son or something, but I said something to my husband and I made mention of what Free Youth was to me when I was younger. And for my 30th birthday, my husband gifted me Free Youth Outreach as a nonprofit. That's how it got up.
Wait, I thought you said Tim
Tim
started,
had it. Tim started Free Youth when we was younger.
but it wasn't a nonprofit.
No. It wasn't a nonprofit. It was
Oh,
just something
it
that
was
he
just
did. Yeah.
okay. Fire.
So it was just something that he did. Like we had Bible studies at Tim House and prayer and literally honk for Jesus signs out in the middle of Ash Street. So we all just grew up and everybody just grew apart. Never heard of it again, ever. But what was dope about it was the safe space that it created. Like we were each other's accountability partners. You know what I'm saying? It was like, anyways, long story short. So this is years, like years, 10 years at minimum later, fast forward. And like I said, I think something was going on with my son. And I was saying, like, I wish, this and the third was around. We had Free Youth Outreach when we was little. I'm gonna do this, I want to do this, and I just kind of just shared with him just randomly one day, just ideas. And for my birthday, he filed it, with the state, and that's what he gifted me. And I just took the baton from there. And
Wow. That's
yep,
awesome. That's much respect, Mr. Ford. I don't know you, but that's big, right? That's big right there. So, and also you mentioned right now that you are in school,
yes, sir.
presently going for what degree?
My bachelor in psychology, bachelor's in psychology, with a concentration in substance abuse and addictions.
Okay. And once again, you want to reach those people who are cast away, the dregs of society.
Yep.
As now, because you said you never struggled with substance abuse, but you did struggle with alcoholism for a time. Is
Yeah.
that so it kind of gives you that desire to help those people?
Yeah. And then I had some people close to me that struggled with addictions real bad. And
Mhm.
I was able to see it from a different perspective. Um how like people really don't they don't see, they don't really see how this is taking over their lives and affecting them, and you know, and so if I could just be a voice of reason to anybody, like, hey, that ain't it, that's kind of where that comes from. So yeah.
Yeah, that's once again, man. Like I was telling you, about something that I did, which y'all if y'all check out my YouTube channel tomorrow. I'm gonna upload it, but it's once again it's just grace that we have overcome and not been in those situations. Like you see people walking down the street, you hear of all these deaths as well. These deaths that are ravaging our young people with these new drugs, the fentanyl and the pills and things like that. And it's almost sad because people, you hear the stories about them, but then nobody talks about them. Everybody whispers about it. Yeah, well, this happened, but they said they was doing this and that, and then everybody just shuts up about it. No, we need to talk about these things to keep them from happening to other people. No, there's no reason that people should be dying at 20 years old, 25, 30, 35, 40, 42, 45, and we're just, hush-lipped about it. Like, this is normal. This is not normal. So I definitely appreciate you for your, desire to help those. Tasha Sawyer says you're a blessing for the youth and the community. Tanisha Utsi says grace, definitely grace kept, a lot of us and still keeps a lot of us, because The Lord's compassions are new every morning. Now, also, you are an author as well.
Yes, sir.
Now, we talked about this book. This book is called 828, right?
Yep.
Now, where did you get that title from? I thought it was like a area code, like 919 or
No.
252. What I'm saying?
Oh, well, 828 is my birthday.
Okay.
First. But really the inspiration came from Romans 8 and 28. All things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. And it's pretty much what we're doing that, chopping it up about how, like, I did it too. I was that, I did this, I did that, but that's not it. That's not it for you. Keep going. And it pretty much just gives a rundown of my life and how God spared me, and how, like I said, I'm a poster board of God's grace being sufficient, man. Oof.
So, how deep do you go into your testimony in that book?
I talk about, my childhood. I'm gonna talk about being, what home life looked like for me, from my perspective. Um, my relationship with my father, and how those things, my relationship with my mom, my relationship with my dad, how those things affected me, as a woman. I talk about my struggle with alcoholism. I talk about being promiscuous, um, being a single parent. I look, I'm an open book.
So
Like I
you just
said
give it
earlier,
to them raw.
pretty much. Like I said earlier, you overcome by your testimony. That's the proof. That's the evidence. Where God brought me from. I can't. They don't need.
Yeah. So because we didn't, and that's one thing I always talk about, whether men or women, is the relationship with the father. Now, of course, you said that he wasn't in the home, but um, did you ever forge that bond or relationship, or how did that look then, and how does it look now?
Then it was rough because um, not only was he not in the house, him and Tim was like this. So I had to watch that. You know what I'm saying? Like Tim was
So
going with my dad.
both of y'all had
Yeah,
the same dad.
yeah.
Okay. Okay.
So not only was it like, hey, he's not here, I had to watch, Tim going away for summers, Tim, blah blah blah, So that was tough. But now that's my guy. That's my guy. That's like my best friend now. It's funny.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
but it was rough, and of course, like I said, growing up in a single parent home, it's some stuff that I'll be like, well, if you did this, we wouldn't have had to deal with that. And
Uh-huh.
like I said, I'm so grateful for like maturity, not only natural maturity, but spiritual maturity, because now I'm able to realize like they ain't know no better either. They ain't. They came from brokenness too. It's this stuff generational. So that's what
That's
it
what I
is.
always tell people too. Like my mother and father came from single parent homes. My mother and my father was a single. His father left, and then his mother got married, and he was endured abuse and everything. So I realized in retrospect, like even they got married at what 19 and 17. So
Right.
even if what they did back then that I can look back now and say I didn't like, or I think they did that wrong, they didn't have a blueprint. You know what I'm saying? They did the best they could with what they had, and I'm forever grateful for that. And I've learned so much. And once again, a lot of things that I didn't like as a child, I realized what they were trying to do. So that's awesome that you can come to that maturity. Now, did you tell him those things?
Yeah,
Like
that's my
you
yeah,
said.
that's my guy. Look, my dad is a straight up and down New Yorker. Like
Okay.
I don't
So
think he's
he
got
still
to.
lives in New York?
Yes,
Okay. So do you go up there and visit?
he's always here.
Oh, okay. All right. So now, so you mentioned your three sons. Now, how are they doing? Because I know, once again, boys get a certain age and then they start, feeling themselves and
Listen, I just was saying to my husband probably a couple days ago, I'm out here trying to mentor people kids, and my son up here acting like a pure auntie. He my
like a pure what?
pure auntie, just pure.
Oh, okay. Auntie.
Like pure aunt, you know how some people say pure auntie, like food. I didn't want to call them a
Oh,
food. I was
oh,
just saying
pure.
like pure
Oh,
auntie.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. You're pure
Is that
tea.
is that how you say it?
I
Pure
think it's
auntie.
pure T.
Oh,
Yeah,
listen.
yeah,
I was dead serious
I
too.
think it's pure T though, but
It is
I don't say that. I think that's
pure
what
auntie.
women say that.
I
Pure
think it's pure auntie.
T or
I'm gonna Google that when
no,
I get off
pure
here.
T. I think they say it pure T. Y'all correct me in the chat. How you say it?
Pure tea.
Pure RT. She's got
Yeah,
a pure
pure
RT.
auntie. Auntie. Look, see.
Auntie. All right, okay. So yeah, so is that the one that's 15?
Yes, yes.
Yeah, so
I think he's struggling too though with growing up in a I don't want to say religious, growing up in a Christian household versus peer pressure, and these kids is different. They real different this day because he thought like the other day he was like Treese. And I was like, huh? Like who you talking to? Like what's going on?
that's
So
funny.
he be tripping sometimes, but they good kids, man. They great kids, talented, gifted, good kids. But they be trying me every now and then.
This is trees.
Yeah, I was
Wow.
like, huh? He was serious too. He tried it.
So raising your children in the as I grew up hearing the nurture and admonition of the Lord. What challenge, once again, what challenges, like I said, besides that, once again, because, I try to, understand my daughter because once again I know how I felt. Like, I couldn't do nothing. In Tabernacle, you want no skating rink, want no movies, want no school dances, want no nothing. So I know how I felt. Like I was kind of like being left out. So I try to give my daughter grace if she wants to go, to with people who I don't really,
Right.
what they what they want to. So how do you navigate that?
I don't really hit the gavel on them. I try to teach them as far as like it ain't even about skating ring. It ain't even about the other people. It's about like you and me building trust. Do I trust you enough, even if you get put in these weird situations, to do the right thing? You know what I'm saying? So until I get that feeling or whatever, yeah, he ain't doing that.
He ain't doing nothing.
Nothing.
So you don't. So right now you say you don't trust him to go.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So and that's what. But keep in mind though, like I said, I was 15, and a lot of stuff that I was doing at my 15, my parents didn't know about. They was also. Just keep
Yeah.
that in mind. I ain't saying he's slick as I was, but just.
Oh, he be trying it, but I try not to. And like I said, it's not even really about they are good kids. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes you see stuff in your kids that I see it, and sometimes I see the struggle between being in church versus wanting to be cool, and I'm trying to like get them to understand like, hey, you are who you are. If they don't like you for who you are, then that ain't it. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I don't really have that trust where I trust you to be around this and be who you are versus trying to be who you think they cool, who they think is cool. So
Yeah,
I go
and
with
then
you.
also you got to realize too that you can be in church and still be cool. That's
Yeah,
one thing I kind of learned. And actually, it's funny because a lot of people, believe it or not, those same people that you're trying to be cool with, they want to be in your position.
absolutely.
So definitely remind them of that because I like even now as I grow up talking to some of my friends that I used to want to be like. He was like, man, you don't even know, man, you inspire me, man, just watching y'all how you did things. So it's inspiring to know that the grass is always greener.
Yeah.
I wanted to hang out with them because they could drink and smoke at home with their parents and
Oh, no.
how have girls around and just be free, and they wanted the structure I had. So
Right.
there's always that dichotomy.
And I'm honestly just getting to that point where I'm like, no, I'm saying, you know what I'm saying? Like to where it's like, yeah, no, I'm saying, versus like I still struggled with that. Like, I'm gonna tell you nicely no versus just shut like no, I'm saying I ain't with it. So and I ain't trying to push my issues off on my child, but I can see that he be struggling. So I just be like, no, I'm
Yeah.
gonna play you close for a little while longer.
So you said you struggle with that, like
Yeah,
confessing, like, okay, this is why I don't do that. Now I
yeah.
just don't do that. You know what I mean? That's that's yeah, I understand that. You know
But
what
I
I'm saying?
think mine was because I didn't at the time I wasn't ready to deal with the like who people thought I was still. You know what I'm saying? When you start talking about you changed and yeah, I'm on a different type of way, people automatically associate that with like, oh, you think you're better than us? And now we gotta start talking about what you do and what you did do. And I
Yeah,
remember like, here we go. So
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, you gotta and you gotta embrace that though. You know what I'm saying? Because
yeah,
I was telling the guys at the prison, like some, you know, when 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 Saul got converted, he went back. Like people like, no, I don't believe you. You know what I'm saying? You gotta be like, all right, okay, I'm gonna show you, but really ain't gotta show you because I'm just doing this for me. But you gonna see,
yeah,
so now that I'm showing you, so it's a responsibility that comes with being the light. Like I said, like if you don't tell me this, like you struggle with that, like I never know because I always, I see you as a champion for the gospel and for Christ because of the way you live. And I ain't never heard you, or never perceive, you to be hesitant to profess, your belief or your faith.
I don't even think it was hesitant to really profess, my faith. I think it was more like hesitant to deal with my truth. You know what I'm saying? So like that's why now I'm so like I'm an open book. You know what I'm saying? Like because it took me a long time to get there. I had to fight to get here. You know, I
Okay.
didn't want to hear about what I did. I don't want to be reminded. You know what I'm saying? I try to forget about it. So that's why a lot of people be like, "You real? You don't care? You telling that? No. Like somebody get mad, they gonna tell it anyway. So
Yeah.
I tell them
So
that should have put it in a book like I did.
was that the motivation? Like, what was the motivation? Like, what made you decide to sit down and say, okay, I'm gonna put this in a book?
Um, like you said earlier, it was kind of therapeutic for me. To just get it off of me. Like tell my story. Um, yeah, it was just another way to like another outlet. I guess it's just an outlet.
Yeah, and you mentioned sometimes like, and we mentioned about when you telling your life story, sometimes people other people's stories are intertwined with your story, and
Right.
sometimes that can bring you some backlash. Did you ever experience that?
Absolutely, of course. So like I said, everybody is not where you are. One thing that I've learned, I say, becoming a new author, is everybody is not where you at, and everybody's not ready to be open like you open because you free now. Everybody's not there. So, yeah, it was rough. Yeah, it was.
Okay, wait. I got a couple more questions, right? But the radio show is about to end, so I'm going to end the radio show. But we're going to keep this live on social media because I do have a couple of more questions for Miss Ford. But I do want to thank our radio listening audience for listening. Give them 15 seconds. If you had to tell the audience, the radio audience, anything in 15 seconds, what would you tell them?
I don't care where you come from. I don't care what you've been through. Keep going, hang in there. It don't stop there. I
Definitely,
promise you, it
definitely.
gets better.
It gets better. Is that so? We got we you've been listening to the U-Turn show, 106.9 FM Awesome Radio. Remember to go to our website www.wbisawesomeradio.org to download all of our apps on Google Play, Apple Store, and Alexa, and also check us out on Roku TV as well as GPAT 23 here in Greenville. God bless y'all. Y'all have a good night.
Lord, I need you to smile on me.
I got a question. That song, is that a real song you was playing earlier? Like your intro, is
And
that like
when
a real?
when when did you? Can you hear me?
Oh, I can hear you. I was just talking. Go ahead.
What were you saying?
The song, your intro, that's a real song? Or that's just your like personal.
Yeah, no, that's not my. Somebody actually did that song, and she gave me that song. After hearing my story. So I never heard the whole song though. I just how I always hear that part. So I might have to let her to get me to hear that song. So when did you publish that book?
I want to say like June of last year, maybe.
June of last year.
Maybe.
Now, did you ever do a book signing, or did you?
I don't be with all the hype. Like I don't. I'm contrary to belief. I am not a social butterfly. If I don't have to, I don't want to. You know what I'm saying? So like, nah, I wasn't even. Nah.
Oh, okay. So, do you ever plan on it, or you just gonna let it
Yeah.
let it do what it would? So it was more for you then, basically, rather than for the public.
Not necessarily. I wouldn't say it was more for me. Um, it was encouragement. Encouragement to pretty much show somebody like it. Like I said, it don't matter what you've been through. It don't matter. None of that stuff matters. Don't let nobody tell you that you can't. Don't let nobody deter you from what you're trying to do. Like it don't. None of that stuff matters. Just do the work. That's pretty much the that emotion that I'm trying to invoke. Like do the work. Just start. Just start. What God has for you is gonna be for you. And what it takes different stuff for different folks. It might have had to take me going through what I went through and something not as deep or detrimental. So I mean, just do the work, man.
Mm-hmm. So how long do you have before you complete, your psychology courses?
5 months.
5 months. So you'll be complete the program
Mm-hmm.
in 5 months. So is that going to change anything that you are doing now, as far as professionally or corporately? Like, what do you intend to do with that? Uh,
I'm getting ready to step. One thing I realized about myself is I like the at-risk population. I love working with the at-risk population. So I'm getting ready to step into probation and parole. That's the route that I'm getting ready to take. I think I'll be really good at that. So that's my dad. What you laughing at?
No, because I can see you with a like you act like, even with the coat, the jacket, like you remind me of a probation officer, like, and I've seen my share, so I think you fit right into that.
That's what I think I want to do. That's what I think. I don't know that, but that's what I'm leaning towards right now.
Yeah, right. My yes, and I can too, definitely. I know, you know what I'm saying? Because you nonsense, but you seem cool. Like,
Yeah.
look, I ain't gonna violate you this time, but look,
Yeah.
I needed you to do this. I can't keep letting you slide. Like, I can hear you saying that. Like, I ain't gonna violate you, but you got to do this, that, and the other. Don't come in with no more dirty urines now. You know what I'm saying? Like, I can see you working with people, with that. So I definitely think you'll be making an impact. And, of course, I'm in the process of opening up a transition home, so maybe we'll be able to work together.
I'm actually doing the same thing.
Wait a minute.
I know, right? I know. I am. We are too.
So what kind of transition, like for ex offenders coming out of prison?
I want to stick with the youth. I want to stick with the youth. So that's the route that I'm looking to take. And I'm trying to. I think eventually I'm gonna change the whole trajectory of for youth to stuff more along those lines, like day program, transitional housing. Just different.
So you mean like transitional housing for youth, period, not the youth and the parents, like for youth who are in bad housing situations and things like that?
Well, I would love to get the ones that don't have nowhere to go from the detention centers.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's awesome. That's all. Yeah, we definitely need, because you would, yeah, like I said, you would be surprised how many children really don't, have either parent, like whether, both parents are in jail or both parents are on drugs, or, just moving from place to place, whether the parents are just unfit, unstable, going through their own issues. So I think that's very much needed because, I believe the children are our future is more than just a song. Like that That is the truth. Now, what type of issues do you see mostly uh, with children? Um, that you're trying to help. What do you think some of the biggest issues are that you encounter when dealing with the at-risk youth?
They don't trust nothing. They done been let down and so disappointed and so hurt so many times. It's like, why are you different? And like I was telling you earlier, the same thing with me, and women. Like I said, I had some like women who are very close to me to let me down in some major ways, which affected like my relationships with women. It's like, well, I don't have really no expectations of you either. So that's kind of the attitude that they carry on as well. They don't trust nothing. It's like, who is you? Why are you different? Like, how you gonna help me? My parents couldn't do it. How you gonna do it?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, you get that, and it's funny because I get the kind of sideways looks like young boys, they can't hide their emotions.
yeah,
They gonna let you you gonna have to, all right, okay, what I'm saying. I see them, I'm like, come on, man, so let's go here, let's go. So eventually they'll start to warm up and open up and things like that. But so many youngsters going through some things. Felicia Mitchell says, thank you, keep up the awesome work and keep making an impact. Tanisha Yutzi, hope I'm pronouncing that right. We all have so much in common. Felicia Mitchell once again says, wow, I needed to hear this word. You are inspiring, firm, but yet so humble. That's what I get to. Alana Moore gives you great hand claps as well. So that's definitely, so you said you want to change the trajectory of the youth outreach. Um, because I know I have some ideas and plans too. We'll probably have to talk about that,
yeah.
off air. But what so where and I know this seems like the cliche interview question. Where do you see yourself, in the next 5 or the next 10 years, if you can?
And it's funny you say cliche because my answer's probably gonna be cliche. In the will of God, man, whatever that looks like for me, that's it. I
Okay.
don't have no grand plans, and I want to be wherever God has for me at that point in time. I just want to make sure I don't miss the mark. And
Oh wow.
that's it.
Thy will be done. Thy kingdom come. Let your will be done in my life. I
That's it.
certainly I thank you, for taking the time, to grace our presence. Is there anything else that you want to share with the audience that we didn't cover?
No, 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 no. I don't have anything. Nope.
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I certainly once again thank you. Thank each and every one of you guys on the social media for tuning in. We pray that this broadcast has been a blessing to you. Mayel Thompson says, great job. So I thank y'all, each and every one of you guys, for tuning in, interacting, and we will be back next week. With another show. So I pray that God keeps y'all. Um, Felicia Mitchell says, I love it. In the divine will of God is where we all should want to be. Definitely. Yep. Want to be and to stay. Pamela Johnson says, yes, it's a blessing. Thank you for listening as well. And I just pray, that God will keep each and every one of us until next week. That his will be done in our lives, and that he will bless us and keep us and make his face shine upon us and lift up his countenance upon us and give us peace. Shalom, nothing missing, nothing broken, nothing lacking in our lives. And we pray that the words of our mouth and the meditation of our heart be acceptable in our sight, in your sight, Lord, for you are our strength and our Redeemer. Thank you again, Ms. Ford, for tuning, for gracing us, but also thank you, each listener, for listening and interacting. Thank you. Good night. Blessings to you both. Good night, Felicia.
All right.
All right.